name is Hale Montgomery.
How you doing, Skylar?
Good, and you?
Good.
For those who may not know you, could you please tell us a little more about yourself and what you do in the community?
Sure. So I'm Dr. McGee, as you said. I'm from Gary, Indiana. I was raised by a single parent mother. At the time, she had me when she was 19. She was going to school to be a doctor, but she ended up becoming a nurse. I lived around the area, and I went to Williams for elementary school. It was the first school that I went to, and I enjoyed my time here. It was beautiful. The teachers here were very, very good. They instilled a lot of good knowledge in me. So as a young man, you have to have the foundations. And so my reading skills were amazing because I learned how to read really well here. They taught me how to do well on my tests. They taught me how to focus and to study hard and to do well in school. And so I left here. I went to Bailey Junior High and I went to Lew Wallace High School. And then I decided that, hey, what do I want to do in life? At that time, I wasn't sure. And I had not figured out the power of yet at that time. And so I didn't think that I could be a doctor. And so when I decided to make a decision, I was actually going to go to the Marines. And my mother said, look, you don't have to go to Marines. We can have you go to college and we could find a way to pay for it. Because I didn't know how we was going to pay for it. And so I ended up going to Purdue, and I was majoring in engineering at first. And then after my first year, I decided I don't like engineering. And so I decided I want to switch and try to become a doctor. The problem is when I was growing up in Gary, I didn't know any doctors here. So I didn't know what route to take. So I had to figure it all out. And so when I went to my counselors and to tell them, hey, look, I really want to change my major from engineering to medical. And they told me, you can try, but most black men don't get into medical school. So they were very defeating, and they kind of discouraged me. And if I didn't have the power of prayer and faith and persistence, I probably would have said, okay. And you guys should know in life, many people are going to tell you what you can't do. But you got to make it up into your mind that you can do it no matter what. And that's what I did. And so I eventually did well. I switched my major to biology and psychology. I went to graduate school at University of Illinois. And then I went to medical school at Rush in Chicago. And then I left there and I went to NYU, which is New York University in New York. And when I graduated, I was the only black male out of 40 different residents. And so in a way, that particular person who said that most black men don't get into medical school was sort of right. Because right now, when I look at the statistics, black men only make up about 2% of all the black doctors in the country. And so it is very difficult for a black man to get into medical school. And that's why we got to encourage young black men like yourself and let them know, hey, you can do it, just like Dr. Daniel Hale Williams paved the way for me as a black doctor. And so you got to set the stage. You have to have the confidence, and you have to have the right people around you to convince you that you can do it. But most importantly, you got to convince yourself. You got to be resilient, because you're going to have a lot of obstacles in life that may deter you. But if you have it in your right mind, the right people that support you, you have prayer and the power of yet, you can do it. And so right now, I am an ER doctor. I take care of all kinds of emergencies at Methodist in Gary and Maryville. And so I've been doing that since 2000. And it's wonderful. I like taking care of people. I like taking care of kids that come into the ER. But something else that I'm doing is I had another mission that I didn't even know that I had. And that was to try to curb violence. You guys probably know that there's a bunch of violence out here. And it starts with something as simple as an argument that leads to a fight. And so a lot of our young kids don't know how to resolve conflicts. And so they get into a fight and then it escalates. Somebody gets injured, and then sometimes it gets worse than that. Some people can sometimes get stabbed or shot. And so it's important as a youth to know that, hey, when you see yourself going in that direction and you're angry, take about 6 seconds before you do what you're going to do. Okay? Think about it. Think before you act. And that's what we're trying to encourage our youth to do. Is to not only stay away from those things, but also strive to be the best that you can. And so that's what we want you guys to do here at Williams. And you guys are leading the pack. You guys are leaders here. And I want to, thank you guys for doing what you're doing. Hope I answered your question appropriately.
Yes. for sharing that.
Thank you.
Here at Williams, we are striving to become a STEM certified school: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Let's begin. What inspired you to become a physician, and how did you pursue a career in medicine?
So my mother was a nurse, as I said before, and so even at an early age, I liked taking care of people. My grandfather was around 96 years old, and I liked taking care of him. And I didn't realize I can be a doctor until way later. And it was just over a course of time that I realized that I can do it. And so with the right people behind me, I made a decision, and then I decided to do it, and I did it.
That's cool. Can you share some highlights or key moments from your journey to become a physician?
Oh, highlights. Oh, wow. I got a lot of highlights. Okay. When I graduated from Purdue, I had struggled after I had done really well when I switched my major. I played as the greatest fraternity in the world called Kappa Alpha Psi. And I got distracted. We were hanging out, we were kicking it, and my grades went down. And so my mother said, look, if you really want to be a doctor, you're going to have to change. You're going to have to do something different. And so I was down at Purdue West Lafayette. And I left Purdue West Lafayette and came back to Gary and started going to school at Purdue Northwest. And when I came back, I took a job at Methodist. So it brought me closer to my dreams because now I was around other doctors. I was around the medical field. And so then I started taking my martial arts. I became very disciplined. And so I started working out and I got very fit. And it allowed me to focus more so that when I went down to study, I didn't waste time. I wasn't distracted. I didn't have phones back then. I wasn't texting. I sat down in 2 hours and studied really hard. Whereas in the past, it would take me 6 to 8 hours because I was not focusing. I was not studying the right way. And so after I did all this, I ended up graduating with honors, and I ended up going to graduate school and getting a master's in public health. And I graduated at the top of my class. And then I went to NYU, which is very hard to get into. And so to me, that was a great accomplishment for me to do what I did. And so, yeah, I think that's one of the things that I remember.
There are a lot of highlights. What are your rewarding and challenging aspects of your profession?
Oh, the rewarding and challenging aspects of my profession. The challenges are, and I'll tell you this because it hits from my heart. In this day and age where violence is so prominent, it hurts my heart to see a young kid coming in either shot or stabbed from a violent act. And there are times when these kids come to my hospital and I can't save them. And they die. And I have to go and tell their mom or dad that I couldn't save your kid. And then on the flip side of that, there are times when I've had kids come who are really, really sick, and I did save their life. And so I love what I do. I learned early in life to care about people. And so it's rewarding being a physician because you can really heal people. And not only that, I don't just stay in the hospital. I go out into the community. I try to let people know that I care about them. And I work with other groups and organizations to try to do the same thing. And so I think those are some of the prominent things that I like and are fulfilling for me as a physician.
By the way, your work is an inspiration.
Well, thank you.
And my name is Kaylee Mills, by the way.
Kaylee, okay.
Yes. From your perspective, why is STEM important?
Okay, STEM is very important because right now, there are a lot of kids who don't know what they can become. They haven't discovered the power of yet. And so being in STEM kind of inspires you, and it also allows you to be what you can be. It tells you the classes you need to take to get to where you need to be. A lot of times as a young child, you don't know if you're going to be a doctor or a nurse or an accountant or a president. So if you get those basic foundations, which usually come from STEM, you can be whatever you want. The world is yours. And so a lot of black schools and a lot of schools in poor areas don't have STEM programs. So that's why I want to applaud your principals and your teachers for having STEM here at your school, because it allows you to grow and be all you can be.
Thank you. What advice do you have for students who want to pursue a career in medicine?
the advice that I have, not just for medicine, I think whatever you pursue, be good at it, be the best, excel. For our fraternity, achievement in every endeavor is our main motto. And so for whatever you're gonna do, achieve the best you can. Don't let people distract you. When it comes to the medical field, figure out if you really wanna do it. Go and talk to your doctor and let your doctor, ask your doctor, hey, Dr. Browning, Dr. Smith, can I come and hang out with you? Go and see if that's what you really wanna do. A lot of people say they wanna do stuff, but they don't know what they're getting into. So right now, we encourage any kid, any youth, any teenager, any college student to shadow, where you now go follow someone and see what they're doing and see, hey, do I really want to do this? Because what's the worst thing you can do is to go to college. Now you go to medical school, you get all the good grades, and then now you go and get into medical school, and you don't like taking care of people. So you wasted all that time, and you don't like service, because being a doctor is about service. You make good money, but if money was the main reason why you're doing it for the wrong reasons. It's about service. So you got to be sure in your heart that, hey, you're ready to serve for the rest of your life, because you're going to do it the rest of your life.
Thank you for that information. I have one last question. On a lighter note, if you could have any superpower related to your work as a physician, what would it be and why?
If I could have any superpowers and be Super Dr. McGee,
Yes.
I would stop all the violence going on in this world. I will let kids grow to be all they can be, because right now, our youth are living in a state of terror. Not only do you have to deal with violence in your communities, but then you have to see things on TV, like shootings, and where you have to learn how to, avoid the shooter in your school and have all these training classes. This is not something that we had to experience growing up. I could not imagine having to deal with that, because it distracts you from being the best you can be. And so if I had that superpower, I would take away all the guns, all the knives, and if people were going to get into a fight, they fight it out and duke it out. And once it's over, it's over. Right now, you can't undo once a tragedy happens, because you're angry and you pull out a weapon. And so if I can make a change in life, I would do that, and I would have more unity and more togetherness with everyone in the country.
Thank you. Definitely going to be the best superhero. That's all.
You guys are ad-libs. You guys are wonderful. Clap it up for them. You guys are awesome.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you, Dr. McGee, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to speak with us. This has been your moment in STEM at Daniel Hale Williams Elementary. Have a good day.
And we'll be back. And we're coming back with other people who are going to come and read. And we're going to make sure that we can keep this going and try to inspire you guys. Okay? So, thank you guys.